We've started to receive some requests for different video topics that we can cover. And one of these is, what is the point of a recovery week? During the middle of a season, why would you want to spend a week doing a little bit less than you could do? So we thought we'd discuss that now. So to explain, we need a graph, and handily, we have one just here. So on a session by session basis, this is how adaptation and fitness, if you like, works. So when you train, you become less fit. If you can imagine, this is sort of baseline fitness of CrossFit. So you become less fit, the body gets broken down. But then over a period of time, the body adapts and recovers to a point of fitness that is better than it was before. And what we want to do is to train again, sort of somewhere around here, and then we'll get a decrease, but we'll also get an adaptation, and over time, fitness improves. So that's how it works on a session by session basis, but it also works like that across a training block or a season. You train for a while with a big stimulus, then you give a point of recovery and the body gets fitter, and then you increase the training load again, and so on and so forth. Some more graphs might explain that a bit more clearly. One of the ways that people try and develop fitness is often a little bit like this graph shows here. So they merely, over time, train harder and harder and harder. That might be that they go for a little bit longer every week, they do more reps, or they make their reps harder and harder and harder. They just keep doing that and keep doing that. But over the course of time, and time could be weeks, training blocks, months, or an entire season, this doesn't work very well. If you've seen our video on recovery, you'll have seen me talk about the fact that recovery is where we adapt and get fitter. And this doesn't allow any time for that. It just merely increases the training stress all the time. And ultimately, this is likely to lead to overtraining, fatigue, and a downturn in performance. So we need to find a different model of how we add stress to the body, but still allow time for adaptation. There's a second way. This second way is shown here in this second graph, and this is a stepped method of training. So you have a training plan in place and you stick with that for a period of time. Maybe that's a training block, maybe it's a week, maybe it's a month, and then you increase that, and then again you just stick with that again for another period of time, increase, stick with it. Now this method can work as long as you allow a long enough plateau period to be able to adapt to the increase in training stimulus that you've added since the last training block. It can work, but it probably doesn't work as well as our third option. Our third option brings us full circle around to our original graph where we looked at how you adapt from just one session. This is the best model of how to adapt across a season. You train for a period and then your body becomes a little suppressed, but then you super compensate, recover, repair, adapt to that training stimulus, and you give your body time to do that. To do that, we know we need rest and recovery. So as we look at this graph, the downturns in our fitness, conditioning, or performance are actually when we're training harder. Where it sweeps up is where we've allowed our body time to rest and recover from that training. And so what you get here is the dedicated time to increase the stress on the body here, and also the dedicated time in the form of recovery weeks where the body can adapt, super compensate, and is ready and fresh to then have a new and higher level of increased training load. It's this model that leads us to the notion of having a recovery week every few weeks as you train through the course of a season. Now in the JITs, we tend to have a 3-week build phase and then a 1-week recovery phase. And this can be quite difficult to fit into a busy and hectic season where you're racing all the time, but we still try and make sure that there is that downtime, those rest weeks, those recovery sessions, to make sure that it's not just all load, which ultimately is going to break the body down. Rest and recovery is important to make sure you build that into your training plan. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like our video. No, forget that. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like our video. To subscribe, you can click down here, and to watch another one of our videos, click up here at the top.